Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're gonna talk about the selection confusion that we are all dealing from. Well, what exactly is the issue? Issue is right now there are way too many good options because till few years ago we always had the situation where it's like, if you want this, buy this. If you wanted this, buy this. But right now we have a lot of hybrids and lot because those systems are now maturing. We are at a point where it's like you can do almost every goddamn thing with almost every goddamn camera manufacturers. So that creates an issue. It's like what the hell you gonna buy? And if you're not truly satisfied, like to your core satisfied with your equipment, you will have what we call bias remorse. And bias remorse is not something fun because it inherently reduces joy and adds anxiety. Meaning, if you're going for a shoot and if you're like, hey, is this the right camera for me, your joy in that shooting would be much lower. For example, if you are a couple's wedding photographer, you have to be a bit joyous about it because, like, again, it will show in your work because it takes a lot of time to composite things. It takes a lot of time to actually scout out the area. It's like, even if you have been there, it's like you may want to do something different. You may want to, and again, how much you can do that's directly proportional to how much joy you have. Because if you're miserable, I can guarantee you your output won't be very awesome. And you can like literally look at your own catalog and be like, you know what, I was really not happy in that, like it shows in the photo. Now, of course, right now in the moment you will not, because it's at the end of the day, it's a work. You gotta do the work. So at the moment you can churn through it, but after a while, if you're looking from the outside, you'll be like, dude, what the hell I was doing? So this is very interesting, not interesting, as in like cursed aspect of it. We have to figure these things out, meaning we have to have joy and we cannot have too much anxiety in the shooting. And there is a psychological aspect of it. It's like grass is always greener on the other side. For example, I have this Canon 800D, and one of my fellow YouTuber, Shivendra Pandey, he bought a Sony A61 6000 series. I think 6100 was not out, and it has clean HDMI. Now whenever we are streaming, he's like, tada, I have proper, like, again, APS-C sensor will beat any Tom, Dick and Harry webcam you can buy, and he has like amazing output. But mine output looks garbage in comparison. Now I do have this, which has bit better not bit better, tangibly better autofocus. It has flip out screen, everything it has, it's amazing. But like, grass is always green. I was like, what if I had that? You get that? But like, that's a psychological thing that's bound in almost everything, including cows. So it's one of those things that we have to deal with. It's one of those things that is not like, good or bad. It just is. You got to deal with it. It's one of those things. And everybody, meaning you are talking about somebody like who's professional, who's been in the field for 20 years, or versus someone who's like just starting out, all of them have to deal with this. So this is a very serious, significant issue. So first filter we have to apply is the money aspect of it. Now here's the thing, many times, especially for people who are starting out, many times they end up in a scenario where they think camera is a long-term equipment. It used to be that, now it's not. For example, a camera that you bought, like a quality high-end camera you bought in 2010, would have served you well till now, basically 2020. But any camera that you are buying now will not serve you for by 2030, because pace of technological growth is much higher now versus it was like 2010. So inherently what you are buying is what we classify as consumable, meaning you're gonna buy it, you're gonna use it, and you're gonna forget about it. It's like it's gonna be consumed. It's not gonna be like I'm gonna buy it and it's gonna use it. Like, it's not like a car where it's like you're gonna keep using this puppy for like 20 or 30 years. It's not gonna happen. So it will be outdated soon enough. Like that's why I generally don't like the idea of buying like hyper expensive smartphones that are like $1,000 or $1,500. I'm like, what the hell? Like, or in case of Indian rupees, like 60,000 rupees. I'm like, damn, I'm never buying that. I only buy like 20, 24 if maximum. And only one time I touched 24,000 because, well, my dad cracked his phone, so we needed to cycle the phone much quicker. So that's the whole point, because I know whatever you have right now that's like amazing, cutting edge and all that jazz, it will come down to mid-range in the next cycle. So you have to be wise about that. And there are a lot of auxiliary unit that goes into there, because I see that like every time it's like this is my budget, what camera to buy, and that budget is too goddamn small. And I'm like, why the heck they are thinking about, oh, because they are only thinking about the body. They literally are working in a scenario where they may end up with like just one kind of body and like have like the barest minimum full frame camera sensor. So inherently be very mindful of that. This is not a good combination. I have provided the video down below. It's like very old video, 10 years old kind of video, but like you get that point. Like, if you have amazing DSLR but have garbage lens on it, output will be garbage. Like, if you have mid-range or even a low-end body and quality lens, your output will be good. So that's the whole thing. You have to spend evenly, because if you spend on one at the expense of others, well, is you're gonna be very miserable very quickly, and you're gonna have very poor performance. Like for example, if you did not think things through properly, meaning if there was this lens which had low quality but did not have the current generation of autofocus lensing mechanism, you may end up in a scenario where it's like, dude, the lens does everything, but it does not do autofocus as fast as I wanted to, even though camera can do that. Because you did not spend your money wisely, you may end up in a scenario where, oh, I cannot actually utilize this performance. You could have saved a lot of money if tone down your basically body to a more manageable point and investing on the lens. So if in the future you upgrade the body, you have more performance, but right now you bought something that you are stuck with. So you have to be very mindful with these things. Like you have to balance these things out. And there are many things that goes into a photographic kit, quote unquote. For example, lenses. That's one of those things. Like never cheap out on that. It's like I see people like this amazing camera body, and it's like the cheapest lens they can buy. Like it looks, you look at it, it's like you really did not balance it out properly, did you? And again, it's a tragedy to see like I've got your body performance is like I got this, fam, I got this, just pair me up with a good lens and I'm gonna give you amazing output. And the lens they put it's like the cheapest Tamron available on sale. So you get that point. Tripod is one of those things. Like you can start out with this sort of cheap tripod. It's like 1500 rupees. Like it's one of the Amazon basic ones. Again, it's the same design made by many companies, so I'm pretty sure it's one core stamped by 10,000 companies. It does work. I did use it for I think 3.5 years for running my YouTube channel. However, like very early on I dropped it and this handle broke. Second time I dropped it, this leg broke. Like this happened a few days ago. So now I had to upgrade to a better basically tripod. So I went to this puppy. Now again, inherently this is also not a Manfrotto level kind of thing. It's also Digitech, and like again, I'm pretty sure this is also the same thing, because I've seen the same tripod variant by other brands also with different pricing. So I'm pretty sure this is also a second thing. But again, compare this puppy, basically my camera is on that versus this, there is a night and day difference. And it's one of those things, I get it, it's like why people invest so much money on that, because in the early years everybody would like let's buy the cheapest tripod. Once you realize it, like how much you need to rely on your tripod, then you're like, you know what, let's not cheap out on it. It's one of those things that experience teaches you. Flash cards, for example, whatever the format, micro, mini, or full size, or XQD, or whatever have you, compact flash, A, B, whatever have you, you have to buy them. And especially if you're dealing with video works, they die very quickly. And I'm like, wait a minute, flash cards die? Well, not exactly. Like you won't have like, oh, this card worked and now it's dead. You will have the card slowing down, meaning, for example, when I started my YouTube channel, I wanted to do full HD 60 FPS. Now I did try that, but here's the thing, my cards were dying very quickly. Like I'm talking about SanDisk Extreme Pro cards, and literally started to have errors after around 1 year, not even one whole year. So I think very quickly, whereas like write speed too slow, write speed too slow. And it happens, like electron gate, that is the foundation of every flash storage, does have a limit, whereas like every time you're writing, rewriting, and rewriting, it does erode that gate. Like that's what we call wear on basically flash memory. And that will happen with everything. Like it does not matter how high quality it is, it will happen. Again, a very high quality one will supposed to last much longer, but again, can you afford it? So that's why I went from 60 fps to 30 fps, just to reduce the wear on that. And again, if you're not aware of this, you'll like, I'm gonna buy this extreme SanDisk Extreme card or whatever, whichever brand, and you're like, yeah, it's gonna work for 10 years. You should be like, wait a minute, why the heck I'm getting a lot of random errors, a lot of corrupted files? Like again, the flash does wear down. You have to have that into your budgeting, where it's like I'm gonna consume these puppies, especially with video. Again, photo is far more laxed, but video is like brutal on this. Card reader also, because especially if you are dealing with some fancy formats like XQD or CFast Express Type A or Type B, you have to buy some expensive readers for that. Again, you can buy some cheap reader or you can buy some expensive one. Generally, people will say buy expensive one simply because they will have actual throughput for that. Benefit, it saves time. Time is money. That's why people invest in this. Battery. Again, this is thankfully one of the good things about all interchangeable lens industry. They have replaceable battery. You can buy as many as you need. Like generally start with 2, bare minimum 2. Flashes, again, if you are serious about this puppy is expensive on a whole different level. Filters, cheap ones are like cheap, but quality output could be much cheaper than that. But many times this puppy is also cost. Camera bag. Again, I did not used to think like, okay, this sort of bag is expensive, but again, quality bag that you can rely on, the bag that has a chain that is like actually water tight enough, where it's like if it light rains, your equipment is safe there. Those two add up in money. And then you're talking about PC stuff. Every Tom Dick and is like, I want raw photo. Here's the deal. Have you seen the size of that? Have you seen the burst rate a modern DSLR or modern mirrorless can do? At those sort of burst rate, if you want to store raw files, yeah, buy hard drives. not one, drives, many of drives. So you have to balance your money out. If you don't, you will literally be in a scenario where it's like you have the camera body, but you have nothing else to support it, and your output would be really suffering because of that. So you have to be mindful of that. Please take care of all of these things and many more. If you have some specific requirement, put that into the equation also. Now, this is the primary reason why camera industry is dying, is the creature comfort aspect of it. Meaning, photography as an industry kind of evolved like, old man kind of industry. So where it's like, people had a sense of pride. It's like, this camera is so complicated, only I can use it. There was an aspect of pride of that. Now that created a consequence. It's like, it became too complicated. Other people like looked into it, started it, and shut it down, put it in an almirah, and never opened it again. It happens. And as you are younger, it does not matter too much to you, but as you start to get older, you start to value creature comforts far more than you will realize. For example, if somebody told you, it's like, hey, this tripod is like, carbon fiber tripod, it's like, 50 grams lighter, you will pay for that. I guarantee you will pay for that. Like, you will find like, why the heck people are buying like, hyper expensive tripods that are like, only a few grams lighter. That's the primary reason for that. Creature comfort. The fact that you can carry it to wherever you need to without, dying is far more desirable than you realize. So performance does not matter too much if you are suffering while using it. For example, if this camera is amazing, but like you have to do this and that and this and this. Yeah, you're not gonna do that for long, or you're not gonna do it very efficiently. So creature comfort matters, and ease of use is a must. Meaning, if you have to choose between two cameras, for example, let's say Nikon and Canon, and you're like, hey, Canon fundamentally has much better ease of use, you are more likely to buy a Canon and more likely to be happy with it than you are to be Nikon. Because again, ease of use matters a lot. Meaning, let's say a live view that has a direct preview of like, hey, I'm changing ISO, is it showing me the effect? Hey, I'm changing the shutter speed, is it showing me the effects? Those things matter far more than you realize. And this is one of those things, time matters. So saving a few minutes in your work schedule. For example, if you have a low grade SD card reader, meaning USB 3.1, the cheapest one you can buy, it will only able to read your SD card at, let's say, 80 Mbps. But let's say you have extreme cards nowadays, those can read upwards of 170. Like literally you have 2x performance, you are only using at 1x. Now does that matter? Well, think of it this way: how long does it take to dump the file from your camera to your system? And saving even few minutes there every day, like every time you are doing this, translates to a lot of things. Or for example, if you have some camera that's like, it's a bit more expensive, but it does have USB 3 directly into the camera, meaning you can just connect that camera, and if it has USB charging, that's also awesome, meaning your camera is charging and you are dumping file. Awesome. And trust me, those sort of things really translates to a lot, especially as you start to get older. You're like, dude, just do the goddamn work. You really won't enjoy the fact, oh, I'm gonna pull out the card, put it into a card reader, connect the card reader into this, control C, control V. You don't enjoy those things. I mean, like, that's why whole IT industry loves so much of automation. So this is one of the things. Wi-Fi transfer is also very important. It may sound gimmicky, but think of it this way: camera is equipment which you can put in a bag, which creates the consequences that it's a very expensive bag that one person can easily steal. It's not a car, it does not require braking, it's like twink, poof, gone. Your camera gone. And I guarantee you, like, if you talk to at least, let's say, 100 cameramen, you will find like one or two who's like, yeah, I lost whole system. Now think of it this way: if that time there was some Wi-Fi option in your camera where it was dumping file in the background into your mobile system, and somebody stole it, but let's say you still managed to recover at least JPEGs, all the JPEGs, your client will be far more accepting of this situation versus going to your client is like, you know what, I can't actually give you any files, I'm sorry. Yeah, good luck with that. So you get that point. Like, those sort of creature comfort matters far more than you realize. A tripod that is bit quicker, like there are some tripods that have like, latching on a central column, meaning you just stand it, drop, leg automatically draws from a central latch. Super expensive. I did not get this, like, why would anybody do that? But think of this, so let's say you're a natural photographer or bird photographer, you're doing this placing tripod like 5-6 times a day. Again, at that point, you're like, shut up and take my money just to saving that few minutes. Fast bag, basically bag that has a zipper, like zip quality is dramatically different between a very cheap one and like a quality one. Faster data flow, meaning a system where you can actually dump files quickly and efficiently. Enough crunching also, meaning buying a laptop or a desktop which has enough horsepower to crunch, like, 64 megapixel raw files. It does take horsepower, it does take money, but it does translate to a lot. The more comfortable your working is, the more likely you're gonna to do work, and more likely you are to do quality work. Do not want to use, it's really unwise to waste time. Yeah, what are you doing? Transferring file. That should never be the case. Or you should not be in a situation where it's like, one point of failure. Oh, somebody stole my camera, the whole work died. That should never happen. That's why, like, invest into something that has good Wi-Fi, has the system, or heck, if you have to set up FTP, file transfer protocol, that allows you to, like, transfer everything, do that. Again, it's a tedious, frustrating, but if you do it once, it automates everything afterwards. Everything does. And again, a lot of people are like, very short-sighted nowadays, and like they want instant gratification. They will be like, dude, you took the photo, give me in Instagram. Again, if you had set this up NFT for example in the background, you can give them up, and you don't have to even give them raw file. You can literally process in Lightroom on mobile phone and give them a okay output. And again, if you have some multi-person crew, you can have one person who's just like, rough editing everything, not finalizing, but rough editing everything, so it's like at least Instagram presentable. You get that point? Like, do not overlook creaser comforts. It matters far more than you realize. Then we come to final aspect of it, because there will always be some sacrifice you have to do, simply because you are not filthy rich. Most likely you are not. So realistically speaking, you always have to make a compromise. Then how do you justify it to yourself? Well, look back. That's the easiest tool for you have, because what are you buying? Like, I bought this puppy 800D. Most likely I'm gonna buy like Sony A7 Mark IV. Now, is this camera better than this one? That's it. I never have to ask, oh, is this camera comparable to like, let's say, Canon EOS R5C? No, hell no, because that R5C, while it is amazing camera, while it will sort everything I ever have to deal with, heck, it's like so future-proof, like 8K. I'm not even want to do 4K. It's like future-proof to 8K at 60 FPS at like continuous recording with a time code in. So it's like, it's long-term, safe. But here's the, it's $4,500. This puppy is $2,500, meaning there is $2,000 of difference between this puppy and that puppy. And this can do everything and does have creature comfort. For example, if I want to do 4K 60 FPS streaming or 4K streaming, I can do full-size HDMI cable output to HDMI capture, which is far more easier than to basically micro HDMI that Canon uses for some goddamn reason. So you get that point. Like, those sort of creature comfort will means I will most likely to use this puppy. And then the fact that it has like, built-in USB webcam function built into it, again limited to full HD, but again full HD from a full frame camera with a quality lens, output would be GG. So those sort of thing matters a lot. All I have to look into is like A versus B. I do not need to compare this puppy to everything else. I do not need to compare this thing to other people also, because photography is sort of an art form. Meaning, for example, if you're talking wedding photographers, there are some wedding photographers who's like very rigid. It's like, they give you calendar piece work, very awesome, but most of their photos, it will look like, they took a photo. And there are some photographers who are like, sole bread and butter is like candid photography, meaning you will not know when they took your photo. And like, that has a natural feeling. Again, different people have different response to it. Some people love that. Some people like, want like, I'm rich in like, is to show out like, different kind of things. Some people like that, like, tender moments and things of that nature. So it's an art form. So some person will be like, dude, I need to be quick, light, efficient. I don't care about the image quality or ISO. I do need to be light and efficient. In those sort of scenarios, they will buy something that is, quick and portable. So they do not have a huge camera pointing at a couple. You don't want that. So you get that this sort of context awareness you need to have. Whereas like, not everybody is like you, even if they are in the same field. And it's okay to take your time. For example, I have this puppy like 800D. It's like I bought this camera for astrophotography. If you have seen my Instagram, there are like I managed to capture Milky Way 2 times. So that was my primary reason of buying this. But again, because I waited for this puppy to come out, because that time 750D was out, it did not have dual pixel autofocus. I waited for 800D, and again, even though this camera was like not what I needed, but I invested into this. I am like now utilizing it to run my YouTube. Same will happen here. This camera is far more powerful than I need, but again, if I invest into this, I can do far more other things also. So it's okay to take your time. You do not need to rush. Again, if your old equipment is working, milk it more. Unless it's making you suffer, then yeah, then ditch that puppy. So there is always some pros and cons. So take the most out of it. Like, do not always try to tackle every problem, because you can't. You have to just make a compromise and deal with it. So look back. That's the easiest way to have clarity, where it's like, oh, that's what I'm gaining and that's what I'm losing. That's it, done. Go home, sweet dreams, enjoy. So this was my presentation on basically selection confusion. Hopefully this presentation, this philosophy aspect of it should have helped you to make a much better, informed, wiser decision. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment, because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.